Christ Jesus' name, amen. And our pledge, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Whew. At this time, Commissioners, you've seen the agenda. Is there any additions or anything that needs to be done at this time? Okay, I will remove number 6. Okay, well, that being heard, we're taking under new business, number 6 is nothing but a repeat of number 2, so we're going to take number 6 off. That being said, do I hear a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? So passes. The minutes are here from our last meeting. I think you've had ample time to go through the minutes. Is there anything there that you see that needs to be corrected, amended, or whatever? Okay, do I hear a motion we accept the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? So passes. Okay. I don't think we have anybody from municipal comments at all, do we?
I don't know if there's anybody online.
Doesn't look like it at all, does it?
He's putting the names up now.
Constitutional officers? I don't see anybody there either. And department heads, I think we've been foregoing that during the COVID crisis. And there is no need for a public hearing at this time. It looks like we're up to number 8, unfinished business. The first item here is appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board to fill the Board of Education unexpired term. Mr. Gay?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I knew we had that company that I think there's been some conversation with the Board of Education, but I'm not sure who that may be. Ms. Mary,
Yes, I received an email back from Dr. Griffin, and the board approved Mr. Bill Charron, Charron, to go on the board.
Oh, give me that name again.
Bill, Charron.
Oh, Bill Karen. Is that the way you pronounce his name?
I'm not sure, Charron.
Sharon? Okay. Okay. We have a recommendation. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Then I guess we need to vote. All in favor? So passes. Mr. Bill is now on the Recreation Advisory Board. Number 2 under here is discussion of paving a short section of Cove Road, and that's in order to complete what we have started.
that is correct. It's about 3.05 mile section of Cove Road that did not get picked up in the dig. The recommendation from the staff was to go ahead and look this while in place. We come back with an estimated cost of $287. You guys had asked that we contact contractor to see what he would, what his quote would be, and he came back at 284,054. That would be to complete the 3.05 miles of that section of Cove Road. I did reach out to the city because it was about 0.14 miles inside the city. I've not heard back from them, but I will reach back out to them again.
Okay.
And so, you guys are ready to move forward with that. We do have a contract change order in the amount of $287,000.
the 0.14 for the city would come from their limit.
There, that's right, yes. This does not include that.
Well, it sounds like what we have before us is the money to be appropriated is $284,000. I think you said we could get this from T-Splosh.
We could use T-Splosh combination. If we don't do it right now, it'll be back on the spring for the mid-year.
Okay.
I think we mentioned we had some regular splash money left though, right?
We did,
Did some, that just not outside of the T-Splosh, that we had some left.
we did. We had some other
Oh,
Splosh
okay.
dollars from the previous Splosh that not committed. I know we've done some things with that, but you know, we can use a combination. It qualify for any.
So suffice it to say, we have the money.
Yes, sir.
Well, board, what is your flavor?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation from our county administrator and that we move forward on the bid for $284,000 and
Okay, got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any discussion at all beyond that? Then I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Looks like it's unanimous. The Greenville Recreation Project, Mr. Gay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the rest is very stepped in with me on this as well. We have been talking about developing phase one of a recreation park over behind, actually behind the school in the property. Phase one would include some playground equipment, grassy area in the middle, probably a perimeter walking trail where the parents could, if the kids are in the playground, they could walk and see them. Maybe some nature trails, depending on how much dollars we have left, and some parking, pavilion, and maybe a restroom there. And we've been working on a grant application that we go into the state is due by the end of the month. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to see what the commitment in the county can be in terms of match for the grant, because the grant's a 50-50 match. And we have looked at all kinds of things to be able to up our match numbers. We looked, for example, at what if the county dedicated, 25, 50, whatever acres, could that value go to? It could not. They would not let us use that, although it seemed like that's certainly an investment for us. So what we're looking at now is we talked to some other agencies to see if they'd be interested in partnering with us, and that there didn't seem to be any interest right now. And so what we're trying to figure out is how much we put in for the grant, because if we do $25,000, for example, we will get a $25,000 grant back. What we need to know is there more dollars that the county would be willing to put in that would enhance that grant, and that I think is the key to getting. We want to maximize our dollars. Every dollar we put in, we get a dollar. But right now, we commit to labor, grading, and some materials for parking. But playground equipment is expensive, and getting the walking trail in, even if we did it with a pressure run, it's going to be kind of a job expensive. So we wanted to kind of talk about commitments on that. And Ms. Barry, anything else you think I'll have to cover with that?
No, I just asked the board to consider that this will be a first phase, and this is something that I think that will be a wise decision for the county to invest in. Considering, I know we own the place down in Woodbury, but I think it's time for the county to start investing something in the citizen and in Meriwether County in terms of recreation and better quality of life for the people all over Meriwether County. So I asked the board to consider as much dollar amount as possible to go into this so that we can further this project, understanding if the grant do not go through, then that money will not be used. But even if we do not get a grant, I still feel like the Meriwether County should be investing something into the citizen for better quality of life here in Meriwether County.
Do you have an idea of the cost of this? I mean, I know you wouldn't know exact, but I mean, any kind of estimate?
Well, the playground equipment itself, did one set, some of that pushes 75,000. I would say 250 would be probably what it would be. We haven't actually done an exact cost estimate on it yet. I know we have, in the SPOS, we dedicated $250,000 toward recreation. But, I don't know that we're at a point today where we need to spend, all of that. But, you know, my thought would be that, you know, if you guys would think about what, you know, what you feel like we could invest, I know we have the 250, because every dollar we put in is a dollar that we gets back. And, you know, there may be some other options as well. What I would like to do is kind of proceed with the grant, and maybe by next meeting, we could determine what total price and whatever cash match we could do. We could try to work up some costs and all.
So our match has to be all in cash?
No, if you meet in cash.
So some of in kind, the great, like you said, the grading and all of that, so we could do a combination.
Right. Do a combination.
Any other labor that we put into it would be in cash.
Yes, sir, that's right. And you know, we talked about it, and initially we were just gonna go for a small grant because that was really about the value of our, impact, our work. And then, you know, we found that, well, gosh, the grant actually would go up to, like, $500,000 if we could get, you know, some more match. That's when we started looking at the land, if we dedicated the land, would that work? And of course, we asked that question, and they researched it, and said, no, we cannot count that. So that's when we were looking at, well, is there other land, is there other dollars that could go toward that? So,
I have a question, Karen,
yes, ma'am.
and to Commissioner Bray. So this is a DNR grant?
Correct.
All right, and is this something that just once a year, or is this an ongoing grant? And then are we able to, I mean, what's the minimum amount are they asking you to apply for?
The minimum amount will be 25,000. To answer your question, the county can apply for this grant every year. So if we successful in obtaining this grant, then we could go back next year and ask for another grant to
Okay.
continue
The
with
work.
other phases.
Okay.
And again, we would still be required a 50% match, I guess.
That is correct.
So the biggest thing is the initial scope of the work that you won't have done. Then do we now have an idea what that initial scope would cost?
I'd like to look at it, a little closer on it, but I'm thinking we're looking at 250. Right?
To do the initial, the proposal, okay.
Right. I mean, you put in a pavilion, playground equipment, bathroom,
It's gone.
yeah, it's got, it's amazing.
Are we able to potentially look at other grants, other things that's out there that can work? And then when you talk about in-kind, they would not, you're saying, accept the land that we were donating because we already own the land as in-kind?
But I would like to say, this is one grant, but to further this project, we will be looking at other grants. I mean, this is just DNR grant, but there are other grants available once we acquire the land. And maybe that's another discussion that we need to have, is the acreage that the county is willing to donate for the total project.
What is our acreage back there?
We probably have several hundred.
This track is what, 400 acres?
400.
This one track is 400
That
acres.
goes across the block, right? But,
Oh, no.
it's, you can see the school's about 50 acres.
Mhm.
So, you know, this is 18 acres that we put. What we ideally would like to do is to have it kind of wrap around. It maybe have an entrance here off the block, with an entrance opening off Roosevelt, and you've got just a drive-through. This is an area here that was already graded towards that for, I think, ball fields and other stuff. So, you know, we thought we could come in with a phase one phase one, which is what we're working on, which it can be the, you could probably get it on a 20-acre tract there right off of, the clock.
But you're wanting to stay on this side of McLaughlin, you don't want to get on the other side where that industrial stuff is.
No, we stay on this side of the clock, and actually kind of hug and wrap around the, school.
I can, by next meeting, we could get an itemized list of what we could installation prices, all that sort of thing, and just, I think we're almost gonna have that.
We could go ahead and do all the narratives on the documents, and, I'm in Saturday with, we could go ahead and do the narratives, and then we can put those costs together.
Right.
Just be, some rough costs. They even try to pencil out kind of a layout as well, how it would look, and.
That would work,
You know,
yeah. But you wanna leave, each time, you wanna leave enough area to continue to expand,
That's right.
whichever way we go.
Yes, and there's some drainage through there we're gonna have to look at, but it really doesn't come together until, I think, so. It's, a good piece of property.
Also to the board, and Theron brought it to our attention a while back, there was an engineering firm who had looked at this space to make it into a sporting complex. We still have that drawing, and I think you mentioned about reaching back out to them because their initial drawing was to come off of Roosevelt Highway. So once again, we may be able to pull some of that information and kind of get an idea as well. But my other question is, the grant is due the end of this month,
Yes,
so it's due on the 30th?
yes.
And we meet again when?
27th.
So we'd have everything, we'll have all the narratives done, all that to Jack Woods, we'll get the numbers.
All right, and then it's electronic, so we just shoot it over to them on electronic. Okay.
I would like to make one more statement. Mr. Gay did not go this route, but I just want the board to know that we did approach the school board about going in with us. And the reason for not partnering with us, the engineering drawing that we are talking about, this is something that the school board expressed that Meriwether County had committed to building this park when they did the school, and they never did go through with it. So for that reason, they felt like, that we have gotten them one time, and they would not commit to, going in with us again, because we did not follow through on our previous arrangement with them.
And I wasn't here, I don't know what
I wasn't
happened.
here either, but,
When was that?
It, it would be unusual for the county to build, school as a recreation.
Well, I don't think it was for the school, but that was part of the plan that recreation area would be done, and it was never done. And that was the purpose of coming up with the engineering plan.
When was this engineering plan done?
2010?
No.
2000, what was it?
I want to say 2002 or 2000.
That'd be earlier than 10.
It was early 2000. And the whole thing was, from my understanding, until you can go back and get the actual documentation and read it, when the purchase of the land from the school board, from the county to the school board to build the school, part of that negotiation was that the county was also going to provide this sporting complex. Now, I'm not sure, unless we can go back and find what the contract actually said, but 18 acres of that land, it still belongs to the school board.
We purchased.
11 acres of
We
that.
purchased some property from them, is that what you're saying?
No, they purchased the property from us to build. That property was initially belonged to the county.
And see, if we had, to the point of spirit, had the school system agreed to,
For that, what is it, 11 acres?
We could have, it was 11 or 12 acres.
We could have used that as
We use
income,
that as cash
cash match.
I mean, the park would be beneficial to everybody, but I think it stands to reason that the school's gonna be a benefactor, just regardless of the location, whatever we do there.
Well, we were gonna lay the parking out where they could also have overflow parking for, the
Football games.
football game. We had, walking trail.
Well, I have to say, it's disappointing they don't wanna work with us. I mean, none of us were on that board at that time, whatever was done, and I would dare say some of them may have been there at that time, I don't know, but that's, it's rather disappointing that
Well,
they
it
don't
sounds-
wanna work with us.
But that's, we're gonna move on, we're gonna do the right thing. So, we wanted to bring that to y'all's attention, and, we'll talk about the funding layouts and drawing and estimating costs. It's very detailed what I'll do is I'll move forward with writing all those narratives, and I'll get with.
Sounds like we need to table for next meeting.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to table for next meeting?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
She wants to ask us.
Wait a minute.
I was just going to inject, about 2 years ago, we started a preliminary plan of that area back there for the restroom and complex. And we would like to share that information there.
That'd be correct.
And that's what you got.
Good place to start.
Commissioners, any more discussion? Then I ask that we move. We have a motion and a second. So carries then.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm voting.
Okay. Now, that gets us out of unfinished business. We're gonna move up to new business at this time. First item under new business is review and discuss proposals for the Lone Oak ball field proposal.
Okay.
Mr. Gay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just 1 second. Yes, we, of course, we this morning had provided everybody with a copy of the RFPs we received and a copy of the review summaries on that as well. And I'd asked, these have been in the file. No one really has seen them, looked at them since we received them until you guys got a copy today. RFPs are kind of a peculiar scenario. And if you guys are ready to make decisions today, or if you want to wait and have some of the applicants come in and speak, or you want to think about it a little bit more, I would say that at the end of the day, I would appreciate it if you just put all the copies back into a file, because, you know, the way the big regional RFP is, there's some limits on disclosability of copies until it's either awarded or rejected. And so, with that, let me go ahead and just give you guys a brief summary, and I will answer any questions that you may have. Okay. This was an RFP for the Lone Oak Ball Field property, and we accepted proposals on that until 2 o'clock, September the 30th of 2020. At the time of call, we received 3 proposals that were opened and recorded as received. We did not do any analysis of them at that time, but we did record them as received. The proposals been placed in a file pending further review and analysis. They've been in that file, and here it is still. So they've been in the file all along, and only been taken out for actually for copying purposes for today or my review. Those came with the 3 proposals were from Mac Reynolds Realty, Town of Lone Oak, and Meriwether County Industrial Development. And if the board would like, I'll be happy to read through and just give you all a summary of these. First one was Mac Reynolds Realty. Proposed use was an investment opportunity. Their business plan was, they didn't have really a stated business plan, but they did promise to work promptly to attract a bona fide user. Stated benefit to the county was cash and yearly tax revenue, because it would go back on the tax digest. Their background and experience is they're very qualified real estate investors. Financial assistance on implementation, they really didn't need that. They proposed to resell the property. Timeline on start and completion, of course, it's going to be marketed, so there were no specifics. They did want to purchase it. The amount in turn was $220,000 for the 72 plus or minus acres, including all the buildings and improvements. They would put down $10,000 in earnest money and close in 30 days. So to summarize that, proposal was to purchase 72 plus or minus acres of property, including all buildings improvement, land, the clubhouse, the mobile homes, storage facility. It is defined, the proposed use is defined as an investment opportunity. We plan to resell to a bona fide user, and we would receive $220,000 for the sale, and it would be placed on future tax documents going forward. So that was the proposal from Mr. Reynolds. The town of Lona was the next proposal. Their stated vision for the property was to remain a ball field and add walking trails and some indoor activities. Their inside activities included senior activities, exercise, classrooms for continued education, office space for those in need of internet, and concession stands for using during game day. And they also plan to use the clubhouse for their city administrative offices. Stated benefit from Marietta County, and this is from their proposal, is to enhance the use of a pre-existing park to promote a better quality of life for their citizens and surrounding areas. Their 5-year vision is to develop a state-of-the-art multicultural center, allowing visitors from I-85 to stop, obtain information, and meet locals who can share interesting stories and places to visit. They also wanted to assist existing citizens who harvest fruits and vegetables and partner with them to promote tourism. They did note that an additional set of partners had been selected to use local hotels as a package deal for travel baseball teams who desire to stay in the area. And they noted that the packages would be purchased in Marietta County, but the stage would be outside the county, but that would still bring in revenue for the county. Background and experience. They noted that the town does not have a background in recreation, but they do have what they reference as a community. Their community meetings have been held since the 1950s, and they mentioned that they had raised over $250,000 to add an elevator to a local church. They want to see ball fields remain and see continued use as practice field by local high schools as well as baseball teams throughout the state. They noted the community stood strong against landfill, thinks the property should be kept in its original state, and they said they saw their lack of qualifications to be one of the biggest reasons they should be considered. Financial assurance indicates the town is solid. They plan to fund their initiatives with grants, which they noted are in progress. Other funding would come from their capital improvement fund. The proposal stated the grant process will start in October of 2020 and conclude on October 31st, 2021, and they think they have an excellent opportunity to receive funding. The timeline on the start and completion, they anticipate that their vision for the project will be totally complete in 2026, but they will use the property and the elementary phases of their plan immediately. Purchase or lease, they gave a couple options. They wanted to buy the property for $10,000 or lease it for $1 per year for 50 years. And it went on to say they're willing to negotiate the final term and would consider the land where the fire station sits as part of the deal. The amount and terms, they noted was conditions on future conversations and decisions of the board of commissioners as to the benefits their proposal brings to the community. And conditions, they said, an appraisal if necessary, with site visit to see the current condition of the field and buildings, and a list of any and all equipment that would be included in the deal. Additional acreage was to be determined. Okay. So a summary of the town of Lona. They proposed to purchase property for $10,000 or lease it for $1 a year for 50 years. No No indication was given as to which tract they propose to acquire, but based upon their proposed use, it appears they are requesting an 18 plus or minus acre tract, which would include the ball fields and the clubhouse. Lone Oak's proposal indicates they distinguish smart growth and economic development over pursuing jobs and tax-based growth without regard for location. They indicate the town does not hold industry at this location. Their funding mechanism appears to be the pursuit of grants with a mention of capital funds for development. Plan for property annexation, plan for property acquisition appears to be a donation of the ball field property and clubhouse to the town by Meriwether County, as the $10,000 purchase price is only a small fraction of the true market value. Lone Oak's proposed use indicates sports activities, both active and passive, continued ed, office space, internet, concessions, administrative offices for the town. And their 5-year plan indicates the ultimate development of a state-of-the-art multi-use cultural center in Richardson. The next one, and last proposal, was Meriwether County Industrial Development Authority. Their proposed use was to develop into commercial and industrial uses to create jobs and grow the tax base. Until the property is developed, they plan to continue with their existing leases on the building and will execute a lease for utilization of the ball fields. Benefits to the county, they note they will purchase property providing funds to Meriwether County. They will also market property for commercial and industrial development, which will create jobs and grow the tax base. Background and experience, of course, Meriwether County IDA was established to bring commercial and industrial development to our community, create local jobs, and grow Meriwether County's tax base. Since 2008, they have been instrumental in the development of the Meriwether County Industrial Park. Financial assurance, they do have funds available to purchase the property, and they do have the ability to develop their plan. Their timeline, purchase option number 1 is 18.5 acres. That's for the ball field and clubhouse. They would like to move forward if they're successful. Proposer, they want to close before December 31st of 2020. They also would like to offer an option 2 where they would buy the balance of the property, and they would like to close on it by June 30th of 2021. Proposed is purchase, not a lease. And on and before December 31st, 2020, they propose to purchase 18.5 acres, include the ball fields and clubhouse for $187,130 plus an additional $25,000 for the county to relocate the other land. And on or before June 30th, 2021, they would purchase the remaining acreage at $1,500 per surveyed acre. And depending on the estimates that are there now, that would be about $253,000 that purchase would be. To summarize that, the IDA, of course, again, desires to purchase 18.5 acre tract, which includes ball fields, clubhouse, as well as balance of the property, with both tracts totaling somewhere in the 72 acre range. Total offer would be $253,130 again, depending on the surveyed acreage. The IDA has indicated they would like to lease the baseball fields for 1 year, then have a month-to-month lease. They would also assume the current lease on the clubhouses and mobile homes and renegotiate future leases. The goals would be to develop the property for commercial and industrial uses, creating jobs, adding to the tax base. In 2019, the authority indicated they had worked on identifying additional property for the future, and that they kept coming back to this property. We believe this tract of land has the best and highest use for their needs for future development. Excuse me. Factors they indicated they had used include proximity to I-85, adequate allocations of water, sewer, gas, and broadband, and property zone with limited residential use in close proximity. They also note that while recreation is extremely important to the county, these fields are not utilized for their full capacity. application indicating property is contiguous to the industrial park property. And I think there's another track across the street that's also non-industrial. IDA believes this area will see more industrial growth in the next 10 to 20 years, as the 600 acres across from the industrial park is already zoned industrial. That is kind of a nutshell of the summary and review of these properties. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board has at this time.
Okay, commissioners, it's your time to ask questions.
I have a question. Maybe I don't, just clarity on the back of your summary for the IDA.
Yes, ma'am.
This additional 25,000 for the county to relocate to Heather Lane, what is that?
I think what they were asking, and that's one of the questions that if we bring in, I'd like to try to get answered. I think they wanted to relocate Heather Lane because right now it's in the middle of the tracks. They own the track on one side and this is on the other. You know, we use it for access to a maintenance building.
Oh, that's that dirt road that goes, okay,
Yes,
okay,
that's the
okay.
dirt road. And so
That goes all the way to the back.
all the way to the back.
So with that sign that says that the you know, the litigation that
Mitigation thing.
litigation things,
Mitigation,
so
yes.
that's Heather Road,
That's
Heather Lane,
Heather
okay.
Lane. Yes, sir. That's Heather Lane.
It's
And of course, I would want to discuss the Heather Lane, and also that building that's there, the maintenance building. You know, if that's the direction you guys decide to go, I would recommend we sit back down with them and work out some timetable. The road's gonna be, until they get ready to develop, that road's gonna be, an access, because it's an access not only to our building, but there's a couple of mobile homes back there that accesses those as well.
Any further questions?
Questions while we're doing comments?
You can do comments. Yeah.
When we first brought this to the board attention, we stated that we would review proposals from different people and what best was a suit for Meriwether County. And we did not specify that it had to be sale or lease, but whatever was for the best good of Meriwether County. And looking at all three of the proposals, and I understand that money is important. And if this money is going to go towards recreation, then that's something to be considered. Otherwise, if I go back and I look at Lone Oak proposal, this is something for the people of Meriwether County. So even if we did, and I like what Lone Oak came up with, even if we did not sell it or lease it to Lone Oak, I think this is something that could, their ideal or their vision is something that could be utilized for Meriwether County. As I stated earlier, there is not enough outdoor or recreation available throughout Meriwether County. I know we have some on the south end, but we do need more recreation on this end of the county. So, and looking at their proposal, I like their vision, what they would do with that ball field. If they could put walking trails around it, people up there need access to walking trails also. If they could do other things to enhance that area, if there was a center of whatever on that end of the county, that would be a good access for Meriwether County. So unless and for his rental investment, I don't see that. And then the IDA, this is county money they're spending, and they already have spots available in the industrial park right now. So why are we going to put more industrial park right there on the front of the road? This is me personally speaking. I don't see it. I'm more for ideal or something that's going to relate to recreation or for a better quality of living for the citizens of Meriwether County, not just a dollar sign. That's my speak.
Mr. Vice Chair, I don't speak at this time.
Sure.
They're both, all three proposals are kind of a wide range for me. You know, they're kind of from one spectrum to the next. So I personally think I need more time to even look at this. But I do want to share with the board what's happening in our region. Most people know, I always like to talk about what's going on, not just in Meriwether County, what's going on in the surrounding counties. Growth is coming this way. There's no ifs and buts about it. From South Fulton all the way to the Alabama line, growth is coming. And for those who embrace it, they're happy, and there's some who don't like the growth. But the bottom line is things are changing. And just the change in Coweta and Noonan in the past 10 years has been unbelievable. I said that to say this. I do know there's a proposal to bring a minor league baseball team in this area. I'm not sure if it's actually coming to Coweta. I know Coweta's been talking about it, or the city of Noonan's been talking about it. I know that they're bringing a minor team into Muskogee County. So there is a need for recreation, and especially around ball fields. I would like to think as this growth comes in this area that we position ourselves to take advantage of some of this growth that's coming. So whether it's having a field or the accommodation when people come into the area, that Meriwether County is part of that economic growth as well. So I do think that when we're discussing this, that we try to look at all the other avenues that are out there. The other thing I want to say, if the board chooses to sell on what other terms they want to sell it on, whatever terms we agree on, I do want to recommend that these funds are used towards recreation. So whether we choose to sell it and relocate somewhere else in the county or provide, I like the concept that some of the things the town of Lone Oak has brought, because once again, that growth and the recreation and quality of life is what people are looking for other than housing. And I think we still need to have something in place that will allow people when they come to Meriwether County that we can also be a mechanism to provide that economic, not the growth as well as quality of life. So whatever we choose to do, I do want to put on the table that those funds are used back into recreation.
I will admit, it's a lot of info to digest, and this is the first time I've seen these proposals and knew what we were doing. They are somewhat convoluted, especially one here in this approach. And something you said, Commissioner Hines, right there at the beginning, do we need more time to think about this?
I personally think so. This is a big decision. This will be a decision that will affect the county for quite some time. And our decisions for me should be based on the benefit of the county as a whole, but also we have to be cognizant of the areas that we are going to have the greatest impact. Okay. You know, so for me, I think I personally would not want to make a decision, and this is my first time reading all of this and understanding the long-term impact that it would have and how would it help us economically as well as the quality of life.
Okay.
I would like to make a couple comments, please.
Go ahead, Ms. Smith.
First of all, I am so disappointed we only have 3 proposals. The number of people that have contacted us with these grand ideas of what they wanted to do to it, 2 of them didn't even submit anything. So, I mean, I have to, and I talked to a couple of them personally, and they had what I thought was great ideas, but they didn't even submit a proposal. I'm not ready to make a decision today either, but to go along with what Commissioner Hines says, I mean, we got to look at what benefits everybody, and no, money is not everything. But when you're talking about property that's valued at over $200,000 or more compared to the proposal for the lease or purchase from one, I'd have a hard time explaining that to the citizens. Now, with that said, selling it and designating that money or a portion of that money to go toward recreation, I don't have any problem with that at all. That makes sense to develop something, I mean, to help with what we're even talking about already over here. But I think we do need some more time about it, but I am shocked, to be honest with you, with one of the proposals and the fact that the ones that had contacted us and been wanting to give us a proposal, there's nothing here from them.
Can I elaborate on a little bit? And like Commissioner Halley, I was surprised that we only had 3 too. I really was was anticipating a bigger, because I had talked to several people who showed an interest as well. And one of the things that one person shared with me was the time frame that they got the information was just not enough time for them to put a good package together. And my thought was, but you've already said you was interested in it.
That's right.
So, but once
Months
again,
ago.
you know, but the other thing too is, and I'm not using COVID as an excuse, but it has allowed businesses and organizations not to get things out and do things the way they want, because everyone's trying to figure out how they're going to come ahead, you know, 5-10 years down the road. I mean, you know, in the next 6 or 7 months. But I too was very disappointed to know that we only had 3, and then our third one came the day of, maybe 5 minutes before closing. But maybe whatever we are doing next time when we have proposals, I'm going to encourage us to broaden out, you know, and look at it. But at the end of the day, I just feel like this is a lot. I personally need more time to
Okay.
study and figure out what would be the best, I think, for the county as a whole. But
And I understand this information needs to stay here. So we give this back to you, but we can look at it here. We can continue to review it or come here and do it. I understand the legalities about it. Absolutely.
I don't like people to say, oh, yeah, they, you know, so, et cetera. That's my goal. Before you guys make the final decision, last night I worked on some recommendations. I don't want to make those until after you guys have had a chance to
I understand.
take a look at this. There are a few questions that I would personally like to try to get answered. I don't think it would be, and Nathan, you can tell me, I don't think it would be inappropriate if there was some additional information we needed to ask for that or ask for clarification. Do you feel like that would be?
No, you can, but prior to the award of the bid, you may ask for clarifications, questions of all, but you cannot disclose the contents of any bid with another person submitting for obvious reasons.
Absolutely. There's just some questions that I had as I read them.
We just disclosed.
That's what I'm thinking. Everything is open.
I thought you said you didn't want to let the bids out of here.
I didn't want to let the
But
proposals.
we just disclosed to the bidders.
I mean,
what
what
the
we've
bid
talked
was.
about.
I'm talking about, that's a bad way of putting it. The actual bids themselves.
I understand what you're
I'm sorry.
Well, let me do this with a quick apology to those of you in the audience that came to hear how this bid was going. Come back next meeting. Would you be ready by next meeting?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
um,
Commissioners, do I hear?
let me ask, can we ask the attorney, since there are some who are here now, is this a time to ask those questions, or if this is the time, or no?
I think they need to be asked all in the same manner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So all 3 needs to be at one time?
Have the option to be here.
Oh, okay.
They don't have to be here if they don't want to be here, but I don't think it would be fair
Okay,
to all those to ask only those who came today. I think
okay.
more appropriate would be to come up with a list of questions.
And then submit it to
That's right.
each one, and then they respond back? Okay, that'd be fine.
And,
Commissioners, I'm gonna ask the table to the next meeting.
That's-
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Table.
thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is authorization to move forward on the paving projects.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we have, you guys did long and hard on the T-Splosh. One of the things we talked to folks about is doing some dirt roads. We have identified 2 dirt roads that would be good projects to at least start on. And this entails, doing some survey work, which we've already started doing, right-of-way certification, grades. We've already put a lot of that. Bill Coughlin's been working on it, and Allison and myself a little bit. And what we'd like to do is just ask the board's permission to move forward with the 2 roads. We wanted to get the ownership information to Nathan, let him take a look at right-of-way certification. The 2 roads that we're
You said
what we like-
survey,
Ma'am.
you said they have survey what?
Survey
Certified.
Dedicated right of way.
Okay,
One of them has 80 feet, but they're not, one has 60 feet.
Oh, wow.
And so, that makes it a lot easier. I think that'll make Nathan's review easier. We're gonna get, maybe Bill Coughlin has a packet for you today with that information. What we'd like to do is we'd like to go ahead and start that process. We'd like to shoot the grades. Bill's already done that. There's a couple of spots that we're gonna have to either raise the road a little bit or something to get coverage over the pipe. And then we got another road we want to look at after we finish this one, but it's a much more difficult road to deal with, and that would be our next project we're looking at. What we'd like to do is to get all of this together, put together a bid package, maybe go ahead and award the bid package toward the end of the year, and when spring comes around, or as soon as the weather breaks, we would like to see the work start on this road. And that means really kind of getting the process started there.
okay. The only thing I'd like to comment, when we had the work session, we did come up with certain criterias of what would make one road more qualified than the other. What if we can simplify that and have that available, be it on the website, because we're gonna get questions. How this road get over this road? And if we can at least have the criterias and score that road and says this met, let's say you got 10 questions and it gives you 100 points. That particular road got 99. So that explains why one, because once again, we're people are gonna ask. And I think if we can get ahead of that, I think we discussed it earlier, and that would just at least give people an idea of why those particular roads were selected, because they met those criterias and whatever they were. I think we discussed it already.
I've got the information, and what I really did was bring it back, let you guys approve the policy. The 2 roads we're speaking of, check all those boxes,
Yeah.
indicated right away, the drainage is in a good place, there's very limited utility relocations. The right of way's already there. Ownership wise, I know one of them has 60 houses in a 6/10 of a mile area. So you definitely have the density there. And so these 2 roads, which they do meet that criteria. But I will get that policy out, and I've got all my notes on it. I'll put it back together.
And I think what that does is just open up the transparency and keep consistency. And then some people who would have those questions, we can say, did your road meet these criteria? And this road meets that more so. And as we stated earlier, once we get those roads that meet the most criteria done, then when you start getting to the smaller roads, then people will understand, well, eventually they are going to get to my road. Either I get more people to move on my road, on my dirt road.
It's right away. And there will be some when we have to have right of way. That won't have that right of way, or we may need extra right of way. And at that point in time, they'll have to dedicate it. I thought we were gonna have to do that on this, but when we got to looking, it was like, survey, the divisions of property, so that worked.
Well, when it starts, we want a sign out there about this big that says T-Splosh dollars.
Right, absolutely.
Because, I mean, folks want to see those dollars working.
That's right.
And I don't know if anybody else got a call like I did when Board of Education's doing work on the football field in Manchester, and they got a sign up there, Splosh dollars at work. Well, it got around that it was T-Splosh dollars being used.
Oh, no.
Well, not only was it not T-Splosh, it's not Board of Commissioners Splosh, it's educational Splosh.
Right.
And so I certainly want the information out there that people understand that we're using it, for what is dedicated purpose.
Right.
And there are differences between an educational splash, a regular splash, and a T-Splosh.
Yeah, I also heard that we've used T-Splosh to purchase a lot of pickup trucks. So
That's not true. I know. Folks just like to make up stuff.
Mr. Gay, let me be sure of what you're asking me here. You're asking authorization to move forward. That is to get everything lined up, prices and all, then you come back and ask us to proceed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. What we would do is we would get with our attorney, get all the right-of-way certified. We would let everybody know what's going on. I'd like to have a meeting out in each neighborhood to tell them what to expect.
That would be good.
Then what we'll do is we'll put together specifications. We'll probably put together a bid document utilize the full depth reclamation process by pulling the gravel back in and adding soil cement to it, instead of having to notch it out and bring in all that tremendous amount of gravel.
Right.
We'll resurface over that. We do feel like we're going to need to put some binder down in order to just be sure that the surface adheres to the base. But we put all that together, and really we'd like to have a bid package that you guys say, hey, it's ready to go.
Okay.
And then we could go ahead and even warn it and just say, okay, we want you first available weather break. We want you to get in and get started.
So we're all clear. We're authorizing them to move forward. Okay.
So
Do I
moved.
hear a motion to do so?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? So carries. The number 3 item is authorization to seek bids for 2 ambulances. Mr. Gay.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, we have our chief with us today, Alan Smith, and I want to thank him and his crew. We've got a lot of good feedback, a lot of good report, and we're very proud to have him on board. Seeing a lot of good changes already. We had originally on the agenda today an authorization to seek bids for 2 ambulances. Chief and I had talked about, because we were both a little bit worried about our fleet, and we said, well, we probably need to identify some other units that in case we need to buy a used unit in the meantime. Well, he and the deputy chief were looking and actually found a couple of ambulances. I think their serial numbers are side by side, so they ordered them. Is that right?
Yes, sir. They're one bid overall.
One bid overall. So at this location, they will buy, but they have a regular rotational basis. So when their time comes, they rotate them regardless. These units appear to be in really good shape. They are out of state. We would have to probably, one group is going to ship them, but I think here we probably would just have to travel there and drive them back. But it looks as if we could get 2 units that they have some miles. They have about 100,000 miles on them, but that's not a lot on today's world. They also have some striker equipment over there already, and I think that's about what, $17,000
worth of equipment already on the
right
on each ambulance.
on each ambulance. So there's $35,000 there.
Now, just let me ask a question. Does that mean it's fully equipped, ready to go?
No.
What would have to be spent on it?
Nothing. We could transfer the equipment that we have on our other ambulances.
Oh, okay, okay.
What we would have on there is the Striker Pro Lift stretchers.
Right.
Which we're trying to go throughout the fleet, and we would get 2 of those with those ambulances. Then we'll transfer our equipment that we already have onto the ambulance and we put them in service.
Thank you, Chief Smith.
And what we would also like to do, though, is to ask that the board consider moving forward with the purchase of 1 ambulance in addition to these 2. These 2 will cost us probably 70 or 60 to 75% of what 1 will cost to get 2. So the 2 are like what,
98,000.
98,000. And
That's
one's
for the
probably
2
gonna be-
used. Right,
Man,
that's for the 2
that's
used.
for the 2 used
Okay.
with the striker lifts already there. And then we would look at buying a new one, and I'm thinking 150, 175. I don't know. What do you
We'll be closer to 175.
Okay, so this would allow us to be able to prolong our rotation to where we could start maybe buying 1 new ambulance every year or every other year to get back in our fleets in pretty bad condition. And that's why we wanted to look at this, and I appreciate the chief bringing that back. He searched hard to try to find that, but if they're as reported, we go check that out, we feel that would be a better option.
I have a question.
Yes,
How many, and either one of you can answer, or to the chief, our current fleet right now, what's the total in our current fleet?
Our total fleet right now is 5, and we're licensed for 6. So we're 1 ambulance down right now.
Okay,
And our fleet is, all of them are over 200,000 miles on the equipment.
all right, so
a week ago.
So these three, and then we would be down to three more to enhance the fleet later on. And we're talking potentially doing this within the next year or year and a half, if we do one every year.
I'd like to get to a point where we probably do one every year. That would allow and keep you from getting too deep. You could always keep your, best one that you're gonna rotate out as a spare if you needed to. You know, we just felt like the urgency of going ahead and getting, that was important.
I guess the other thing I want to get understanding, as you know, and I'm sure this department is so much different because our county is so spread out. Sometimes you stagger your fleet so that one won't last long, get more mileage, but Meriwether County, I'm sure that probably won't make that much of a difference since we're so, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes people will bring something in the fleet and then 2 years later, they bring something, so you won't have all of them breaking down at the same time. So what I'm asking is, we're bringing in 3 right now, then as we stagger, so that we're not finding ourselves, you know, 5 years from now with 6 vehicles going down at the same time.
That's correct. What we will do is bring in these 2 used vehicles that are in good shape. But the one that we're gonna purchase is gonna be a 6 to 8 month build out, so we won't receive it for 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
But it will be this budget year.
Right.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Haven't we have, or maybe I'm getting something mixed up, but I thought we purchased.
Purchase some fire
Fire
trucks.
trucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We've been
purchase-
saying for a couple of years, we knew we were
Yeah.
gonna have to
We knew we were
buy
gonna
them.
have to do this.
Right.
We knew we had to
it was
do
gonna be
this.
coming, and,
Yeah.
you know, we looked at a lot of other things with it, but, you know, like I say, we were just concerned, with, number one, it would be better not to purchase 2 brand new ones 1 year, to get into what
Yeah.
you're speaking of. If we do this, we'll have 2 that are used,
Okay.
and that can, they'll have probably another 2 or 3, 4 years, 5 years worth of.
We can probably 5 years on
Okay.
And then we'll take one of our oldest units next year, replace it again, and then we'll get into that rotation where we do that. It's a whole lot easier to bite that off 1 year than
Yeah.
it is to try to come and say, well, we need 4 or 5.
So we're looking at what, 270, almost $300,000 for right now?
Problem. Yes,
Okay.
now, part of that's going to be toward the end of the budget year.
Right, is what he's saying. What I'm hearing is we go ahead and purchase, and these will be delivered for this price of $98,000.
We gotta pick them up.
Yeah, we'll pick them. That was
We
a
have to pick 'em up.
change from when we talked about it yesterday.
Oh, they changed it? We gotta go pick
They
them up?
were, we thought they were in California. They're actually like in what,
there in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. So we're just gonna go up and get them.
Well, we need to go get them fast then,
We
because
do.
the weather's.
I made sure this morning, we talked this morning, make sure they're still in stock.
What I'm hearing is we go ahead and purchase the 2 for $98,000, which are located in Wisconsin, and go ahead and order our new ambulance for this next budget year, well, this budget year that we in now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we've got the specs on that, and the bid package. I'm gonna review it to be ready to go out. Okay.
So commissioners, that's about as well as I can state it. What's your flavor there?
I make a motion that we move forward and purchase the 2 used ambulance for $98,000 and go ahead and put in the specs for the new ambulance for $175,000.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right then, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank y'all.
Now, the next item I've got here is a request from Meriwether County Health Department for assistance in the purchase of thermal scanners. That's with an S. How many do they want?
They were asking for 2 systems with 2. They're a little bit under $2,000 each. There's the information on it. Yeah.
Oh, you can, oh, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, what it is that come through, they have a lot of people coming, going with COVID. They felt like that they needed something that would be able to scan the people as they come in and identify anybody with elevated temps. And I know they've been, you know, they're busy every day, and I know they've been on kind of the front line with COVID vaccinations, et cetera. And so that is their request now. Chairman Tracy's not here today. I know they had talked to them about it as well. I think they're looking at the,
PSK Light,
right, PSK.
which
Light.
is $19.95.
Right, and that's what their request was from that. And again, they were looking for 2 of those units for assistance for the county for 2.
So they're 2,000 for one, right?
Yes, ma'am, they're 2,000.
So they need 2, so that's $4,000.
They wanted to put one here and
One
one
in
in their other office.
Office, okay.
Manchester.
Do we know, is this something the state as a whole is doing for these departments or each individual? I mean,
Shirley, apparently the state's not giving them any funding for that, because
just each individual office is looking at how they can secure and things of this
A lot of
nature.
places are using the thermal scanners though, I mean, schools even, things like that, but, you know, and I don't know these numbers, but, you know, the one in Manchester's only open 1 or maybe 2 days a week, and maybe they have tons of people there, I don't know. But I could see where this one's open every day, where I'm sure they've got high numbers of people, but I'm assuming they're just using a regular thermometer right now to.
I think that's what they're doing. And I don't know how portable these are. I don't know if it's something they can.
Take
Like
from one end.
is this one open all week?
It's open every day,
So-
except Friday. So it's not, the one in Manchester's open on Friday. Okay, well,
So I
Manchester's
think
open on
the
Friday.
staff
so-
here is the staff there.
Yeah. So if it's portable, seem like you could.
Yeah.
And that may not be good for it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just,
I know
Maybe
about
like-
enough to say, what is your recommendation?
yeah.
Well, I tell you, here would be my recommendation. I would say if we can assist them, let's try to do that. Let us go back and see if one would work, or if we could put funding toward one, could they find funding for the second? And if they absolutely cannot, then I'll come back. But if they can keep it, if it's portable enough that they can move it from location to location, I mean, I wouldn't take that.
Did they give us a percentage of what they want us to match? Or they just whatever we
I think they
can
want us to
do?
buy them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm thinking. Now,
Oh, they
what
want us
I'm,
to buy them.
Yeah.
They want us to buy it. And
what I'm hearing you say, that your recommendation to us was, let's buy one and talk to them.
yeah, let's go see them before we buy it.
Let's get a
And then
demonstration of
see
it.
if it can be moved, it can be portable, you know, or if they have any other dollars, any other way that if we bought one, they could buy one themselves, or get the state to buy one. And failing that, we could come back. Now, there may be, I mean, this may be something, depending on how well it works, that we might want to incorporate like in the courthouse or some other buildings as well. Not necessarily our building, we don't have that much, traffic, but on court day, I know, one day this week, the court people were sitting outside on the steps.
I would think it'd be more important in the courthouse, and the tax office. I mean, they constantly have people coming in there.
They do,
Uh,
they do.
But, you know, I understand that everybody's given a budget, and is this something that they could find at least most of the money in their budget? I think we should concentrate maybe on that courthouse, because we know we have a high volume of traffic there.
Right.
And if you go up here at the tax office, they're always standing on the outside because they cannot go in. And I think they have a higher volume than traffic than the people at the health department.
What I'm hearing you say is, let me go look.
Yes.
So you want us to table until you go
I
look?
think that would be the best thing, is let me go back and talk to them. I know that's what we were trying to get to. Let me go back and talk to them. I don't want to buy anything till I learn a little bit more about it. And then I will also look at what it does, and I'll come back and let you guys know about the options and maybe our
Okay.
other locations.
Board, do y'all go along with Mr. Gay?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to table?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank
All
you.
in favor? So tabled. Okay, the very next thing we have here is a proclamation for Red Ribbon Week.
Say that 3 times really fast.
Red Ribbon Week.
It's sort of hard to get out.
It is. I suppose I need to read this to you now. Meriwether County Board of Commissioners proclamation. Whereas alcohol and drug abuse in this nation have reached epidemic stages, and whereas it is imperative that visible, unified prevention education efforts by community members be launched to eliminate the demands for drugs, and whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign offers citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, and whereas youth, with the care and support from family, friends, health professionals, teachers, clergy, and other community members, can avoid the negative effects of alcohol and drugs. And whereas Twin Cedar Youth and Family Services Alcohol and Substance Abuse Prevention Project, ASAPP, now that's a mouthful, YAT members and Meriwether County School System invites all residents of Meriwether County, Georgia to participate in Red Ribbon Week 2020. Send a message, stay drug free, and hashtag stay drug free. Now therefore be it resolved, the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st, 2020 as Red Ribbon Week, and encourage its citizens to participate in drug prevention education activities, not only during Red Ribbon Week, but all year long, making it a visible statement that we are strongly committed to a drug-free Meriwether County, Georgia. And signed, Brian Threadgill, witness Allison Stevens.
You did a good job.
Do,
Hey, I'm impressed you said hashtag. I was wondering what you were gonna say there. I didn't know if you were on.
I'm just not as old as I look,
I was
Miss
gonna
Kathy.
say, I didn't know if you were on to all the hashtags.
What do we need from the board? Anything for that? We have so proclaimed it.
Just proclaim it, approve it.
Okay.
We're ready to go.
I do want to make a statement.
Go ahead.
Veronica Dow is part of this program, and she's been a true trooper in this county. She's always bringing stuff to our attention and making, so she represents Meriwether County, and I think she does a great job within the school district and just working in the community as a whole. So I appreciate the hard work that she does for our county and definitely our youth, and, you know, hashtag drug-free.
I know the school systems have already sent out, I mean, they got things planned for every day, because my grandchildren had information yesterday about they'll dress up each day or do something for it, so they're pushing it as well.
Well, next on our agenda is a report from our finance director. I think y'all all have the report there. Is there any questions you might have that we can call on somebody to answer? Looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I looked at it again last night. Mr. Gregory is out here today.
I noticed he's done a good job of breaking down the splash funds and the T-splash funds on the last two pages, which is interesting to read.
And the tax collections seem to be doing very well.
They're about 98, aren't they? 98 something.
98%.
I think the big new tax bills went out this week, probably in your mail today, tomorrow.
Okay, if there's no questions on that, Mr. Gay, have you got any words of wisdom you want to pose?
I'm not sure about wisdom, but I'll see
Okay.
what I can do, and I won't include any hashtags. Okay? I want to let you guys know the contractors are working on the Owens Road project.
Right.
Last week we did contact the Hill Haven contractors, and we sent them a letter putting them on notice that they are fast approaching the midway point of their contract period. They're blaming it on the I guess the engineer who's doing the design. He called us to say, hey, I'm working, I should have it there this week. That's really not our concern. Our concern is getting the dirt done and moved and the project going forward. So I'm gonna reach back out to that contractor and let him know he had 180 days, 150 days, 150. And he's halfway into that contract now and has not done anything with it.
And is there any reason he chose to go the route of in situ casting of concrete rather than what they did on Owens Road?
That's just the way his company does. He usually is cheaper than others because he pours it in place instead of putting it in precast.
We may want to keep that in the back of our minds for next bids.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And it is usually a little bit slower process, but if you'll come on in and get it done, they can do it. But he's going to have to really get on it because he's going to get into the winter months. And so I won't be calling him back. So I wouldn't mention that.
Darren, I have a question. If he
Yeah.
had 150 days, was that completion or starting the work?
That's
Does he have,
completion of the work.
so he's halfway through that already, hadn't even started?
That's right. He's got the engineering going apparently, but he's never moved anything over to site.
Well, considering the weather and cold and things which can be a prohibitive for getting it done, is there anything in our clause or in our contract that says if you don't do it within that time frame, are there any penalties or anything involved with that?
Well, we have a performance bond, and the job is bonded. So push comes to shove, we'll call them the bonds.
Hopefully that doesn't go to that, but.
I hope that. I don't think he wants to. I think he's just got it reversed. But they usually do not want you to deal with those bonds.
Yeah.
That's
No, I mean, it's something we wouldn't want to do. I personally would not want to see
I
us
just
do
want
either.
to get it finished. Is what we
Yeah.
want.
Nobody wants to talk. It's not body copy. Certainly nobody.
So anyway, we're gonna try to move forward and get that done. We've got the reports from the Deer End landfill for July, August, and September. They're all fine. Nothing is migrating off. Everything's in good shape. Here meeting before last, I know Commissioner Vines, you brought up a gentleman that you talked to or saw at another location who presented a paving evaluation system.
To the city of Lucasville.
Right, and I contacted him, and he gave me a price, and of course, the software, which I think is one of the things you were interested in, was a separate deal.
Okay.
And he's emailed me back this week and wants to know if you guys want to hear a presentation from him. I think his valuation program is expensive, probably more than what we may want to spend. That's my personal thoughts on it, but I can get him down if you guys want to hear that presentation. It's up to y'all. I usually don't like to put vendors on. That's why I want you guys to say if you'd like to see him come and do a presentation.
What's his figures?
$250 a mile on paved roads and $1 a mile on dirt roads.
To evaluate.
But I think what I was most interested in, Commissioner McCoy, was the software.
Right.
Right.
I wanted to look at the software. I know the city of Lucasville, and a lot of cities use it. I don't know how many counties use this software, but it allows them to look at their roads, when the last time they were serviced, evaluate, then, they have a way to go and plot stuff. I was more interested in the software because I knew with our county being as big as it is, accommodating us going out, evaluating every road. But it's just, once again, new technology that's out there that allows Public Works to do a more efficient job of servicing the cities and communities. And so I just wanted him to come and do a presentation because you and I are always asking about, one of my things is I had a road right now, Dolly Harris Road. They
Right.
went out to that road 5 times. 5 times. To me, each time you went out there, that was manpower that could have been used somewhere else. So why didn't you go and evaluate the whole road, send someone out, then say, this is everything we need to do on this road versus every one of those different trips? If there's software that will tell you what you did the last time, what was serviced, when it was serviced, it'll also tell you when you need to go back. When was the last time the road was scraped? Versus someone thinking off of the top of their head. And then the thing is, also, if anyone out of that department had to walk away for whatever reason, that information should be available to anyone to pull up.
Right.
So I would like for him to come and just do a presentation. I'm more interested, Theron, on the software.
I knew that's what you were.
Yeah.
So do we
And,
have a contact for that?
Yeah, he did a presentation to the city of Luthersville.
Okay.
And
I guess
Luthersville
my
decided-
question, is it his software?
No,
That's what my
Oh.
question is, that's the software.
it's
Can
not
we
his
purchase the
software. It's a package that he buys.
Okay, well then we want to talk to the software people.
That's what my recommendation.
Okay, so he is a vendor
He's a bit.
for the
He
software.
uses their software for his program.
Okay,
And, you know, like your issue on the Dollar Harris Road.
mm-hmm,
Last week, Bill Coughlin and I talked about restructuring a little over there where they have supervisors in the field on different routes. They go out ahead of time and evaluate it and say, this needs to be done. They check back on it to make sure that is done. Because sometimes we don't do it to the level that we need to. We have to go back and we want to eliminate
We're just
that.
wasting time.
We are.
we are.
So what I can do with this is I can see if I can get that software. I talked to him, I've got the notes on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like, and maybe what I can do is see if I can do some software demonstration.
That would be fine.
Set up as opposed to
It's,
this.
I think it's called Street Saver.
I think it is called
Street Saver.
Right.
And I, you know, like I said, when I looked it up, a lot of cities use it. I don't know about counties, but a lot of cities are taking advantage of this new innovative software. And I think for us, once again, you know, a lot of times people say, well, you hadn't serviced my road, you hadn't done anything.
Right.
And then we can have a track of when the last time it was graded, you know, the whole 9 yards. And then for us as a county, we can start seeing, because as we start paving more roads, servicing more, we need to be able to have something in place to let us know what has been done. And then you can also project when you need to go back and service that road.
Right.
So if we can just get someone to come and do a presentation of the software,
Software.
that, I would like
That's
to make
fine.
that
I wouldn't have any
proposal.
problem.
Okay, I'll be more than happy.
The other two, y'all have any problem with that?
No, that's fine.
Okay, all right. That sounds good, Mr. Gay. Proceed.
Thank you, sir. Okay, other items, I've got I have a documentation here. I've got a notice from GDOT, and it is
Good grief.
it's notification of some work they're about to do. Here it is right here, clean it out where I can find it. They're doing a review of the historic preservation, properties that may be in association with intersection of State Route 41, Roosevelt Highway, Judson Bullock.
Yeah.
I think they're continuing to look at that
Or
roundabout
roundabout.
that
Oh,
intersection.
okay.
And I think I'd sent you a copy of
did.
this to look at.
I don't know of any historical stuff there, but I guess they're checking into it. I don't know of anything.
Okay, so I wanted to mention we had received that. Mentioned earlier, and I think the chief's already gone, we've got some good feedback from the public on the services they've been providing, and we certainly appreciate that. We have our loan agreement back in on the county line. This is through the Greta program we got, so that's ready to go. This coming Thursday, I'm gonna meet an engineer out at that bridge and road project, because that's one of those roads that's just kind of beyond our in-house capability of engineering. And we're gonna need to have an engineering firm look at that in order that we can draw up specifications that will allow us to have a competitive bid. And so I'll be bringing that back to you guys, but I'm gonna meet him out there on Thursday. He's done work here with us before. Also have talked with the GIS company on our zoning map, and along with our staff, and I think that's coming along very well. And we should have that zoning map updated and all here very, very soon. Been on the recreation grant, we've already talked about that. Last Friday was kind of interesting. I was outside the office on the grandpa duty, but during the day, to show you how much is going on, I either answered, received, or responded back to 25 calls during that period of time, including a couple that were already scheduled. So even when you're off, it's hard to be off. So, but that's all I have. I appreciate y'all.
Okay, Mr. Gay, appreciate that. Looks like we're moving right on to our county commissioners. I'm going to start in reverse this time. Commissioner Hadley.
This past Saturday was the Harvest Hoedown in Warm Springs. You know, they've been looking forward to that. Didn't look like the weather was going to cooperate. We did have some issues later in the day, but we had a fantastic turnout for Warm Springs. It was so good for the businesses. Someone said it was the best day they've had all year long, and they need it in order to be able to stay open. And, people were wearing masks, folks were, staying apart, doing, I think what they needed to do, but people were just glad to be out and about. So appreciate all the ones who offered support for them, and hope you'll continue to do so. And that's it.
Commissioner Ray.
I don't have much. Would like to say the country Christmas, we had already said we wasn't gonna do the parade and all, so at this point, we are just going to decorate the courthouse and ask each city to decorate a tree. So that's gonna be the extent of the country Christmas for this year.
Okay, Commissioner Hines.
Just want to once again encourage everyone to go out and vote. I understand Monday was early voting. I did my voting. I thought it was a great turnout for Marietta County. From my understanding, they had over 400 some people for the very first day.
403, I think.
403. So that's kudos to all of those who have taken that opportunity to go out and vote. So once again, we encourage everybody to go out and do early voting. And I think it's October the 24th is a Saturday. So that's Saturday voting as well in Greenville. So just plan to cast your vote. Just go out and vote. That's it.
Okay, I appreciate that. The only thing I was going to mention to you is October the 24th down at Lake Meriwether. We are going to have the first responders. We're going to host a little thing for them. And from 11 to 2 on October the 24th, we will be providing hamburgers and hot dogs. It'll just be a day that weekend they can come down and camp for free. Those from the county here can come down and do that. And there'll be additional things to do, like canoes that'll be available to them, kayaks, that sort of thing. And you and I have already talked, Mr. Gay, about getting our Lake Meriwether rules and everything aligned with Muni. So what came up, we have a guy that was coming in and putting jug hooks in the lake. Well, the game warden wouldn't come out because it is legal in some places in Georgia. So we had the sheriff over last night, and he says, yeah, but we don't allow it in this lake. So it has to be in our detail, in our ordinance. We covered trot lines. We just didn't cover these jug hooks. So anyway, that's the only thing that I was going to mention.
Do we have to have that posted? When you get there, it has those rules, or does just have to be in our ordinance?
It has to be out on the Muni code for the judges and people like that that's trying to enforce it for sure. We have a thing we can hand out down at the lake, but it's just getting it. I guess what I'm concerned about, and Nathan, you may want to take a look at this, and having something that will be enforceable. Okay. I want the language to be like it needs to be for that kind of thing, because then, see, our sheriff's department has to step in. They don't have a boat. They don't have a jet ski. So they have to patrol it from the ground, whereas the game warden can come in with a boat.
It's a long walk around that lake, too.
It is a heck of a walk.
Yeah, we'll work on that from an ordinance standpoint. We do have an ordinance already.
We do.
See, we're also going to be working on the motion supplementation control ordinance. That'll be back until the next meeting. I've got some minor changes on alcohol that we'll do, and we'll address this one as well. So I thought it was going to be over ordinances, but I don't think we ever will.
Yeah.
Barrister Nathan, you have the floor.
Mr. Vice Chair, I have nothing to report other than I have a matter to discuss in executive session. I think Mr. Gay has some things as well.
With personnel.
Personnel?
Yep, personnel litigation.
Personnel litigation.
Don't think we have any real estate.
Okay, there's nobody out here for public comment. Great. All right, at this point, do I hear a motion we go into executive session for, I can't even read what I wrote here. Litigation and personnel.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? All in favor? Okay, we're going in at 10:30.
Are we going over there, or we going to stay in here?
Let's just stay in here.
If you don't mind.